Welcome to 3D.sk, human photo reference for 3D artists and game developers. On this site you can find thousands of images, from studio photo reference to street photo reference. We also have a selection of animals on our site. We have some costumes, we have weapons, armor. We also have 3D scans of bodies and heads, clothing, animals, all the aforementioned above, and 3D maps and textures. Welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be starting off in 3D.sk so I can show you where you can download the texture maps that I'll be using in this tutorial. So if you go to texture maps here, ready to use pre-made face and skin maps, you can download Little Caprice for free by downloading the setter zip from here. This may be a limited time offer, it may not be forever, but you can see today's date on my screen. So as of today, it is free. So back into ZBrush. So we're going to be using these texture sets to kind of clean up the model a little bit. So if I go to the one that we've already edited, that we did in the last episode, and let's just turn off the color. So let's go to Polypaint, and let's turn off Colorize. You can also do that from Subtool menu here. So first go to Smooth by holding down Shift and just turn off RBG. Let's move up the subdivisions to, let's say, 5 subdivisions. You could even move it up to 6, but that might slow down the video too much. So I'm just going to have it at 5 for now. Most computers should be able to handle 3 million points. So I'm just going to go along and just smooth these out a little bit more before putting the textures. Going along with the smooth tool along this edge, almost like a buffer edge. Go along with your smooth tool and your trim dynamic, and just try and get these to blend in with the smooth surface, so there's no line there. Around the ears, this gets very important as they can create quite a lot of issues. Mostly the smooth tool will do the job. Sometimes you may have to use trim dynamic, like here. Sometimes doing it in circles helps kind of get the smoothness that you want. Gonna go along the ear a little bit here. And that should be done. Let's check the neck. Okay, I'm fairly happy with that. So now we can start loading in the textures. So let's go to BST. Let's go to Alpha. Let's go Import. I'm just going to go to ZBrush Textures where I have the Little Caprice files. You can view the UV. I imported it by accident. But you can view it here. Just go Open. And you can see where you need to place the certain skin textures. So I might try 16. Looks pretty good. 14 looks quite intense as well. Might also try 25. So my main ones are 16 and 25 I want to try out from looking at this. So let's first load in 16. So the files that you download may have a thing with them. If I can find it, let me just go back to import. A modifier value that will tell you what modifiers you need. I'm going to try without the modifiers for now, as sometimes they'll work, sometimes they won't. So let's just go back to import image and go off that. I'm just going to try this with drag rectangle at 25 intensity and just see what happens. So you can see that it kind of brings out the head as well, which isn't exactly what we want. So I'm going to go to Z subtract, and now it's going to bring in the head, which is also not exactly what we want. Let's try going to alpha, modify, go to mid value 50, RF value 40. By the way, at any time you can hold Control and this will show you what the thing is that it means. So the radial fade slider causes this alpha to blend from full intensity to transparent at its edges. So the reason for this is to make it so that doesn't happen as much. As you can see now, we're not getting that strange thing we were getting before when it brings the whole head out. It's only really bringing out the texture that we want to. It's creating almost like a transparent circle around it. So that's great, now that we've got that. So I'm going to turn that up to, if I turn it up to 100, you're going to see that it's very transparent around the edges, and you get none of that at all. But I think what they suggest, which is RF 40 and a mid value of 50, is fine. As you can see, we get what we want. Now let's see if it matches up with our textures. Let's just take this area here, which is really in need of texture. So obviously we need to turn the intensity down. They suggest 15 intensity, which is a bit intense. So I may just turn this down to, let's say, 8. And that seems a tiny bit more appropriate. Let's try 9. I think 9 will be perfect. 9 is about the right intensity, and you can tell it's starting to kind of look like the other one. Maybe 8 was okay. I think 8 was fine. And you can see that that's kind of carrying on this texture. It looks very, very similar. So I might just put that kind of here as well. See that it's got some lines, so you can try and kind of match them up a little bit better. I just put a little bit of texture there. Let's try this on a different shader, such as Skin Shade 4. You can't really see it. Matte Cat White. This one is quite nice for viewing. So another one I wanted to try out was Import. Let's try 25 this time, which I wanted to try out. Now make sure that in alpha that you do set the RF value to 40 again and the mid value to 50, as it changes with each texture. Now let's try it on with max this time. So you can see 25 is quite a non-line texture. It's just basic skin pores. I might turn the intensity down a little bit. I might just use this a little bit like, say, around here. But obviously a lot larger. Let's turn off this shader. It doesn't really work that well. That's kind of blending in okay. Try it again. Okay, maybe we can use this one again here. That's going a bit too intense, but it is quite intense on this side around here. Maybe I can turn down the intensity a little bit here to 4 and try it again. Yeah, that seems to be working out a lot better. Let's go to the back of the neck. Let's try doing some stuff here. Maybe I want to Z-add on this one. Let's kind of drag that out, see how that looks. That's looking pretty similar. So I might just use that again. Just keep dragging that out, getting some nice skin texture in there. Maybe put a little bit in here so it kind of makes a bit more sense later on. You can see here that it's got some wrinkles. We can use our brush dam standard tool to kind of carry on those wrinkles, but make sure they're not smooth. That's one thing. You don't want it to be smooth, so what you want to do is kind of have a very loose hand with your pen and kind of make them not smooth at all. I'm just going to carry on from this and just kind of hold my pen extremely loose. This one is a bit more linear, but just want to kind of fade these out a little bit better. Kind of fade them out a little bit. Okay. Maybe we can put some extra wrinkles in here. Here is probably where we're going to have to try and recreate what it looked like underneath. So let me just save this for now. Make sure to make regular saves, as that is important. I'm going to save this as 7. You can see here that this kind of wrinkle kind of carries on here. It's kind of going into this one. And then this kind of carries on into here. So I'm just going to kind of carry on that kind of trend and just use my smooth tool, turning the alpha off now and using dots. Turn the Z intensity up, just to kind of bring out these bits a little bit more. So I'm guessing it's kind of like this, where this skin fold is kind of going over this one, but it's also folding here. And this one's going to kind of come over here a little bit, probably. I don't think it's going to be so intense around here. Maybe it will, but maybe we can turn up the draw size a little bit. Kind of create another wrinkle here. Just trying to recreate what was there before, or trying to. We can do some interesting stuff by ourselves as well, though. So I'm going to guess that this kind of comes out here like this and kind of goes into there. Standard brush is probably best for this. Going to just kind of move that into there, maybe. Maybe this one kind of, using the move tool a little bit, maybe this one kind of droops over a little bit. Use the pinch tool a little bit here, maybe. No, that didn't work out too well. Use the brush trim dynamic brush, maybe. No, I don't like that. That's too smooth. You actually want this to be kind of blobby in a way. And then maybe we can create one more wrinkle here. It kind of goes like this. Kind of fades on this side and this side. Get your brush stamp standard tool out and just kind of go wild with it. Doesn't have to be perfect. There's no human is perfect. Just go around here and just kind of, just trying to mess up the neck a little bit. Trying to get some kind of randomness. Ooh, that's looking quite spooky, actually. Maybe we added a bit too many folds there. But it's fine. We can go on the bit more of an intense side if we like. Doesn't look very realistic though. Kind of exaggerated the folds a bit too much. In that case, I might just kind of get this fold and just kind of make it more like a one fold. That might make this look a bit more appropriate. Maybe not make these so blobby. Just going to smooth it out in areas. Maybe get rid of this area. It kind of looks a bit silly. And if you like it, you can keep it, but I prefer to not have it that intense. Intensity can sometimes ruin something. Let's just leave it like that. Now that it's all smoothed out. Loose hand. Just gonna maybe do something like that. Now it doesn't look as bad. Maybe I could just put a slight crease in here. I think the problem was it looked too... Yeah, that's just too much. Smooth this out a little bit. Make sure the gravity is working correctly. Maybe I can use the Alt key a little bit here to just kind of bring this in a little bit. Bring the skin in. Okay, that's looking a tiny bit better. Bring it out again. Smooth it out. Let's bring back in our alpha. Let's turn the intensity down. And let's try and match this up a little bit better. Yeah, I've gone quite the intense side to try and cover up or try and make a bit more random variation in my creases. Just going to use the Alt key here a little bit. Not the Alt key, the trim dynamic. Just kind of bring this in a little bit and not make it as blobby. A bit too blobby at the moment. Move that out a little bit and just kind of do that. Okay, now we can go back to BST, kind of give that some texture back. And I'm liking the look of this a lot better now. It doesn't look as bad, but we still have that weird intensity that I wanted. Put some here. This crease doesn't really make sense, so I kind of want to use the standard brush on that. I just did the wrong thing. Dots, alpha off. Just kind of bring that out a little bit, make it look more like a fold. Maybe do something like that. Turn the Z intensity up a little bit. We can bring that out a little bit more. And I want this to fade a lot better. I'm just going to use the smooth tool. Go back to drag rectangle. Just kind of get that texture back in, but not so intense. Maybe a 7. Oop, that was too much. Okay, liking the look of this a lot better now. We've done some quite intense creases on the back of the head, but to me it's not that bad. It'll be mostly covered up by hair. What I want to do is I want to try something really quick and just turn up the intensity. Just kind of do that, see if that feels better to me. I don't think it will, but we could try it out. That makes a little bit more sense now. Maybe we can use the pinch tool here. Maybe we can pinch them together a little bit more so it makes more sense. Maybe use a bit more gravity. Kind of move them down. And that might just make it look a bit more like it's making sense. Might turn on symmetry for a sec here and just kind of bring out the head a little bit. here as well. I think that created a bit of an issue. Yeah, it did. I don't like what's going on here though. I'm liking this. That looks a lot better now that we added some gravity to it. Okay, so now for the hair. And let's load in some alphas again. I'm just going to go to my desktop. ZBrush textures. And I think that 25 was very similar to this. Go to alpha. Modify. It goes 50 here and 40 here. Let's go on max. Okay. Let's try spray for this. Very low intensity and subtract. See what that gives us. Okay. Try it again. Okay, it's a bit pixelated. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to draw his rough hairline out that I want it to be. So he's quite elderly. So let's do something like quite high up and quite a receding hairline. I'm just going to do this. You can play with it in a sec. Maybe we can go for something kind of like this. The reason I'm doing this is I'm now going to make this into a poly group. So I'm just going to group mask. I'm going to use this with a drag rectangle. Maybe a little bit less intense than that. Maybe using Alt. I feel like for hair it's a bit too... prefer this to be a little bit more like an alpha. So let's try spray. Turn the intensity up. Maybe back down a little bit. Maybe try changing around the alpha a little bit. Try this one. Let's go to brush. Sorry, alpha. Let's turn off max. This feels a little bit more like hair follicles to me. This will also give us kind of a outline of the hair that we need. I'm just going to go around and maybe smooth that out a little bit. Now I can go back in with my spray. And I can kind of do this. Actually, I may go back. Because I feel like now looking at them, They might be a little bit too big for hair follicles. Try turning down the intensity. They are kind of, I'm going to turn on subtract or add here, because I seem to prefer that. Just seems to look a bit better. A bit smaller this time than last time. Gonna kind of go over and just kind of do that wherever I can. Maybe smooth it around the edges a little bit. Just for now. See how that looks. What I might do here, because it is creating that kind of, I don't know really what to call it, but protrusion or an extrusion. I'm going to go to my masking and I'm going to go to blur mask. I'm going to blur it quite a bit. Now if we try it now, it's going to blur this out a lot more and it's not going to be so extruded. It's going to be a lot softer as well and blend a lot better. That's the beauty of 3D, that you can always go back and edit things. So remember that. If something doesn't look right, don't accept it, just go back and edit it. That looks a lot better now. Still kind of got that thing going on where it's kind of extruding. So I might change the RF value to 100. So we don't get that as much. See how it goes. And it's still giving me this kind of weird thing that's going on here, but I think it's better now. I don't think it's as bad. What we can do is we can just go back to this part. We can maybe just use the alt brush to kind of make it a little bit less such of a shape. Maybe make it a bit more random in a way. Okay, to me that feels a lot better now. And we still have our poly group. There it is. Of where the hair should be, or where we decided it to be. So now I can just go ahead and just kind of do some little adjustments to big areas that I want to adjust. Such as maybe in the ear, we can smooth it out a little bit. Maybe use a bit of trim dynamic there. Try and be subtle with these kind of like, these may be hairs, these may be random parts, but still they don't look that great. So I'm just gonna kind of try and get rid of some of the bigger areas of the 3D scan that's gone wrong. You can just see like these little artifacts that aren't very nice to look at and won't be very nice for the projection later on anyway. Just going to get rid of this little whatever that is here if I can. The main area is obviously the eyes. So in the next episode, we'll be taking a look at fixing up the eyes, maybe going in with the eye cavity and the oral cavity and sorting out those areas. So that'll be in the next episode. Thanks for watching this. See you in the next episode. Bye. Welcome to the end of this tutorial. Feel free to comment with feedback and suggestions below, and also comment on what you would like to see in future videos. Thanks and goodbye.